Phase 5 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe is finally coming to an end, and it's probably fair to say the whole thing has been a little So, what's still bugging us about the Multiverse Saga's middle chapter? Iman Vellani's portrayal of Ms. Marvel is one of the highlights of the Marvels, yet Kamala Khan is also the root of one of the film's most perplexing plot points. In case you never saw it, which, let's face it, is pretty likely, the movie follows 3 heroes with energy-based powers. These are Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel, Photon, aka Monica Rambeau, and of course Ms. Marvel herself. At one point, the trio arrives at the song and dance planet Aladna to stop the villain's plan of draining its oceans. Now, earlier in the film, Carol had told Kamala about the difficult decisions she's had to make, leaving behind a group of doomed refugees, for example.
We need to save who we can!
It's especially hard for her considering that, due to her immense powers, Carol's jurisdiction is basically the entire universe. So when the fight on Aladna becomes dire, Kamala impulsively warps the Marvels away to prove to Carol that she can make difficult decisions too. Essentially, Kamala allows the villain to succeed in decimating the planet just to make a point, which is arguably a bigger character assassination than that time the comics literally killed her. Once upon a time, Jonathan Majors' villain Kang the Conqueror was supposed to be the big bad of the MCU's Multiverse Saga. Majors lost the role after being found guilty on misdemeanor assault and harassment charges, however, meaning that Marvel's original plans had to be scrapped. But even before that disastrous court case, there were some problems with Majors' character in the MCU. One variant of Kang made his debut in Phase 4 during the Season 1 finale of Loki, calling himself He Who Remains. Meanwhile, another version of the character appeared in 2023's Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. This Kang variant is the one who started the multiversal war in the first place, and because of that, he's presumably the most powerful and dangerous of them all. That's why the other Kang variants worked together to strip him of his futuristic tech and left him to die in the quantum realm. First impressions are everything when it comes to superhero movie villains, and Kang's film introduction sabotaged any excitement built up by the end of Loki. All in all, Quantumania made him look ineffectual and, to put it bluntly, like a bit of a joke. It doesn't help that the manner of his defeat is genuinely comical, and while that might be acceptable for a one-and-done villain, it's hardly a worthy end for Kang the Conqueror. It's probably fair to say that the MCU holds a conflicted view on the morality of vigilantism. Yes, the franchise's superheroes stand up to injustice, especially when the actual justice system is shown to be ineffectual or corrupt. But some of the best superhero stories are about the dangers of vigilantism. Sometimes we see an attempt to bypass that contradiction by making the heroes part of the system itself, like with most incarnations of Captain America, although even those heroes can go rogue every now and again.
I'm not looking for forgiveness, and I'm way past asking permission.
In the comics, the Watergate scandal disturbed Steve Rogers so much that he rebranded himself as a vigilante nomad. Similarly, by the time Sam Wilson takes the shield from Rogers in the MCU, the Avengers have effectively disbanded, meaning he's not officially working for the government. So why does Brave New World open with Sam having his own Captain America hideout with access to all sorts of tech? Who's funding him? It was established that he wasn't being paid in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and he struggled financially during the events of that series.
Is there some kind of fund for heroes, or did Stark pay you when he was around? My condolences, by the way.
Thank you, but no, it doesn't really work like that.
So, what changed? Without official government backing, how was Sam getting intel and backup from US soldiers at the start of the film? It really makes no sense for a glorified vigilante to have such plentiful resources. One question hangs over pretty much the entire plot of Captain America: Brave New World. Should Sam Wilson take the super serum? That's because, as skilled a fighter as Sam is, he's not superhuman, and that's a serious disadvantage in his line of work. Of course, there are a few good reasons why he'd choose not to take it. For one, not everyone's cool with sticking mysterious, life-changing chemicals into their bodies. But the movie makes a more thematic argument too. When Bucky shows up later in the movie, he gives Sam a pep talk, explaining that his bravery and heroism proves that anyone can be a hero. Bucky also suggests that one of Sam's true powers lies in inspiring others to be like him. That's all well and good, but the fact remains that by not taking the serum, Sam is handing an advantage to the people who would seek to harm both him and the world. There are no doubt countless would-be Captain Americas out there who would happily take the serum and fight for their country. And even though that hasn't always worked out in the past, that's not to say others couldn't do the job better, serumed up and all. Oh, and the idea that Sam is inspiring people by being a quote-unquote normal superhero loses a lot of its luster when you remember that he's wielding high-tech gadgetry from Wakanda and benefits from connections with the US military. So yes, Sam might be a couple of tiers lower than Thor or the Hulk, but let's not pretend he's building suits with a box of scraps. The Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy was a staggering success story for the MCU. James Gunn took a bunch of practically unknown comic book characters and turned them into some of the franchise's most popular heroes.
We are Groot.
All three Guardians movies did well with critics, though 2023's Volume 3 scored lowest on Rotten Tomatoes with a rating of 82%. The film fell prey to a problem that plagues many mainstream popcorn flicks, the trope in which heroes mow down countless henchmen while keeping the main villain alive to make some sort of moral point. This is especially galling as we witness Rocket and the Guardians wipe out not just the High Evolutionary's henchmen, but also the animals he genetically mutated against their will. In the end, Rocket inexplicably draws the line at killing the High Evolutionary himself, despite the fact that he's a genocidal, planet-destroying threat.
Why? Because I'm a freaking Guardian of the Galaxy.
Considering the movie's messaging, it's also weird that the first mission carried out by Rocket's new Guardians team involves them killing a load of alien animals. Sure, they're protecting a village, but couldn't we have ended this movie on a slightly less muddled note? Despite the many problems with his character, Jonathan Majors' performance is one of the best parts of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. The same cannot be said of his performance as Victor Timely, however. In both Loki and his brief appearance in Quantumania's second post-credit scene, Majors gives Victor Timely a distracting and frankly baffling voice.
What are you talking about?
Sure, it's distinct, and Timely's nasally staccato rhythm does make a certain amount of sense in terms of him being an eccentric showman from the 1800s. The fact that Majors was going to be portraying multiple Kang variants may also have encouraged him to make them distinct, but even though there are narrative reasons to go with a unique style of voice, that doesn't change the fact that the voice itself is incredibly grating. More than anything, it serves to turn Victor Timely into something you might find in a comedy sketch, rather than the brilliant and tragic character he's supposed to be. One of the biggest unanswered questions in Deadpool and Wolverine revolves around the villain of the film, Mr. Paradox. Basically, why did he actually tell Deadpool his whole evil plot? This is never a smart move for a movie baddie, of course, but it's particularly jarring here. At the beginning of the film, Wade Wilson has given up his persona as Deadpool, leaving him adrift in the world. Wade feels like he lacks purpose in life, and it doesn't help that Happy Hogan rejected him from the Avengers.
I was team leader, founder, really, of X-Force. Sadly, they all perished in action.
Oh, how exactly did that happen?
Well, the police say gravity.
Still, he's not down and out just yet, as Wade eventually ends up captured by agents of the Time Variance Authority and brought to Mr. Paradox. It's then that Paradox tells Wade how important he is to the multiverse.
I am Marvel Jesus.
So far, so good, but things get a little less good when Paradox inexplicably monologues about how he's going to destroy Wade's universe. He even reveals that he'll use a new experimental machine to speed up the process. This obviously annoys Deadpool, as it means his friends will be time-ripped into oblivion. At first, Mr. Paradox's motivations make a certain amount of sense, because he says Deadpool is supposed to be kept alive by the higher-ups. But that makes less sense when it's later revealed that Mr. Paradox is working against the TVA, and that his Time Ripper machine is a secret. If that's the case, then why bring Wade in at all? And again, why tell Wade his plan? It's never made clear what Paradox gained from doing that, and like so many other classic cinematic villains, his plan might well have succeeded if he hadn't. Comic books often utilize certain visual elements that don't necessarily adhere to how things would look in real life. Instead, they make sense in a more abstract way, or they're just there to look cool. Case in point, superhero masks with white or blank eyes. The most obvious example of this is Batman, of course, but there are countless others, including both Deadpool and Marvel's most famous X-Man, Wolverine. The critical and commercial success of the live-action X-Men movies marked a major moment in the history of comic book films. 2000's X-Men is widely considered to be the movie that laid the foundation for the modern superhero cinematic landscape. Notably, X-Men took cues from Blade in terms of its heroes' wardrobes, doing away with the colorful costumes seen in the comics in favor of dark clothing and lots of leather.
You actually go outside in these things? What would you prefer? Yellow spandex?
Luckily, fans finally got to see Hugh Jackman don Wolverine's iconic yellow suit in Deadpool and Wolverine, which looks surprisingly good in live action. Well, apart from the mask, or more specifically, the eyes. The whole white, pupilless eyes thing looks great on the page, but in live action, it can be weirdly distracting. You can't really argue this was done for purity's sake either, as Wolverine's actual eyes do sometimes show through his mask in the comics. In the movie, you end up with something that looks more like a Halloween costume than anything else, and it hardly helps that Jackman also loses the ability to emote using his eyes. Deadpool's inherent goofiness means that this approach works well for him, but let's be honest, it looks kinda dumb on Wolverine. Here's a fun fact for you. The first big-budget feature film starring a Marvel Comics character was 1986's Howard the Duck.
No more Mr. Nice Duck.
That movie was a total flop, and more than a decade passed before a film came out that proved Marvel characters deserved a place on the silver screen. 1998's Blade. The live-action feature film starred Wesley Snipes as the titular vampire hunter. Snipes and many of his co-stars didn't really resemble the characters from the comics, of course, but the movie's style and aesthetic provided the blueprint for the superhero films of the early 2000s. In short, Blade was a big hit that made a serious cultural splash, and so there was a lot of excitement in the air when, in 2019, Kevin Feige announced that Blade would be getting his own MCU movie. With Mahershala Ali in the lead role, Blade was originally supposed to be a part of Phase 5 of the MCU. To set this up, Ali even had a voice cameo in 2021's Eternals. Sadly, the project just slowly sunk deeper and deeper into development hell. Multiple writers and directors have come and gone, and it's become such a torture production that even Deadpool and Wolverine poked fun at it.
There's only been one Blade. There's only ever gonna be one Blade.
Given the vast resources at their disposal, and the fact that Phase 5 has been light on big draw projects, it's almost unthinkable that Marvel execs didn't go all out to make the Blade reboot happen. Hopefully, we'll still get to see it one day, but at this point, we're not exactly holding our breath.